Hey all, this is Sarah Metzger, host of What's on Your Plate podcast. Such an inspiring episode today. If you ever wanted to create more time, and who doesn't, right? If you've wanted to spend your time doing what is truly in alignment with who you are and what you love, this episode is absolutely for you. Today, my guest, Emily Fuentes, and I are talking about how ordinary people just like us can give our gifts to the world in a way that allows us to fully be present in our own lives. Let's dive in. So today is a really fun episode, you guys. I am here today with Emily Fuentes. She is an RN turned entrepreneur and homesteader. And I am really excited to have her on today. She has literally taken her sourdough starter and turned it into a passionate profession. And I am just over the moon excited to talk to you today about how that all started, how it's going. Welcome, Emily.
Hi, thank you. I'm so glad to be here with you.
This is such a treat for me because I actually did recreate your starter, your sourdough starter. So that was like a first for me, for sure. And I know the sourdough is just the very tip of the iceberg of what you do, and there's so much more, but it's really cool to think about how something seemingly so simple has created something so amazing for you.
Yeah, for sure. It seems wild to me too, just to think about this starter that I started a couple or a little over 2 years ago has turned into a full-blown business for me, and it's been life-changing. How did your starter turn out?
You know what? It was really amazing. And I didn't know what to expect. It was like my first attempt, but I even posted in my stories today on Instagram how proud I was of it. And tagged you, of course, to give the credit to you for inspiring that. But yeah, I mean, it's something that seems so intimidating. But once you do it a couple of times, I'm sure, I mean, it was my first try, but once I do it more, I'm sure, yeah, it'll just become like part of the routine, right?
Yes, for sure.
And I feel like that's really, I mean, at the core of what you've created. For sure, the sourdough, but like, honestly, just taking your own life into your hands in terms of you were a registered nurse, are a registered nurse, probably still, but not practicing, probably. And you what was being requested of you didn't align with what you wanted for yourself and your family. So you decided to pull back and simplify and create something that did align with your beliefs and your passions and how you wanted to spend your life. And just to think again that it all started with sourdough. I would love to just hear you talk about all of that. Tell us how it started and how it's going.
Yeah, for sure. So, a little over 2 years ago, I was working as a nurse and was mandated to get the COVID vaccine, which wasn't something that I felt comfortable doing. I've always been a working mom for 5 years. I had kids, I had three babies through working as a nurse, and always desired to be home with my kids, but didn't really think that would be a reality financially. For 5 years, I was actually the primary income for our home, and my husband was in school, and then he had transition or finished school and transitioned to like working, and then I had just gone to on call, which was like my dream job, or my dream, I guess, schedule, because I could just pick the shifts that I wanted to work, and it was a little bit more flexible. And we just always envisioned being a two, like having two incomes to help us meet our financial goals, and we always thought we would have, childcare or work opposite shifts. They both have their benefits. um, and so for us to be kind of faced with this, like, okay, we finally have two incomes, we can catch up on our debt and all this stuff that we've been trying to get ahead of while my husband's been in school. Um, we thought this was just like where we were going to start with our financial success. And then we got hit with this, okay, you need to be vaccinated, something I wasn't comfortable with. And so we kind of got, um, we had to decide, was I going to ultimately be fired or walk away from my job to stick with what was aligned for me medically, or was I going to, give in and get vaccinated and kind of stick with our plan? And for me, it was like a no-brainer. I was very like, I'm not going to, like, this isn't something I'm comfortable with. I'm not going to like do something just because someone wants me to, as far as like the vaccine goes. My husband was like, yeah, I don't want you to do anything you're not comfortable with, but are you sure it's not something that would be okay for you, kind of thing? And so we ultimately decided um, that we were just going to walk away if that's the hospital's decision. I tried to do an exemption, which was denied. And we just had to have faith that this was here happening for a reason. Like, as a nurse going into school, this wasn't something that I ever imagined having to be faced with, like, the decision of. And so it was very like unexpected, really shocking, but we just had faith that, you know what, things happen for a reason. So we're going to just go down to one income. We're going to have me be home for the time being and just kind of see how that goes and see how God provides for us. So we did that decision, and for 2 years I was home with my kids, and it was, financially it's hard, especially in today's economy. With we have 4 kids, well, we had a fourth baby during that time, so 4 kids, and being like only on one income. And no, even with a good, like a good income, and my husband's an engineer, that was still just like hard from what we were used to. And so anyway, so we did that, and then to fast forward 2 years later, we were wanting to purchase a home, and we were kind of done renting. Renting was like, the inflation was crazy, renting was super high. And so we decided that we were going to look outside of the area that we were in, which was really expensive. And God brought us 2 hours away to this smaller town that had more affordable homes. And we had wanted to have more outdoor space. We had a patio where we were at. We were in the city, and we always, wanted this outdoor space for our kids. So we decided to take the leap. We purchased a home without my husband even having a job here. He commuted all summer for the entire week, which was a bit crazy, but we did it. And then ultimately, we were able to slow down to this homestead. We have like a quarter of an acre, so a very small homestead, and just simplify our life, be able to be making our own bread. Sourdough is where it all started. And this year we're jumping into gardening, and we learned how to can last year, and just like have this life where I could be homeschooling my kids. We can be home all the time. We live in this small town now where everyone kind of knows everybody. And that for us there's been more blessings in that decision than we ever thought that we would have. It's been such a beautiful, like, magical experience being able to be home and live this slow paced life. I know, as working as a mom, even with 4 kids being home, it's still, people argue that's not a slow life, but compared to like the city, being in the city and the hustle and the bustle and 2 working parents and trying to like deal with traffic and all that, it's just been a much slower life, and being able to be more sustainable with our food, with our we got chickens, so we have our own eggs now, and just like our kids being able to experience this life where they are, we're home and they can go out and let out the chickens in the morning and kind of learn like where our food comes from, and not be passed between babysitters and everything. So it's been a blessing. And then a few months ago, I started a business with digital marketing, with digital products. And that is where kind of the Fuentes family homestead, my Instagram account, started. And I've been able to create products and create a business around things that I love, things that I'm learning. On my Instagram, I bring people along on the journey with me, and be able to just create things to help people to also learn this simplified life and be able to slow down their life. And then this has just been a very successful business for me. And now looking back, I've been able to replace my nursing income doing this. And I also get to be home with my kids, which was the ultimate goal, to be home with my kids, to be able to be sustainable without having to have 2 working parents. And I know this is just the beginning for us. So
That is so exciting. I am just honestly getting a little bit emotional about what you're talking about because it speaks directly to like my own desires and wants for myself and my family. And it's just incredible what you have created. It really is. And the fact that you have created just a routine and a life that works for you and it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else type of thing too, you know? And I think that's where I don't know, we really get caught up in the idea that you have to get up and go to work and send your kids to daycare. And you don't have to do any of those things. That is far more complicated, I feel like, than staying home and creating your own business. And being a homesteader and a homeschooler and all the things that you're doing and creating. And it just speaks directly, like I said, to my soul for sure. And I'm sure many of our listeners are absolutely interested in what you have to offer. And the sourdough, of course, is one thing, but now teaching other people how to take what they're passionate about and create something not just sustainable in terms of financial sustainability, but also passively sustainable.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's been like such a journey because I know a lot of people go into business with like, um, I mean, there's a lot of rules, you know, people are trying to follow with like, you have to only do this thing or only do that thing and kind of focus on one thing. And I feel like I've really been enjoying just doing what I love. So, like, I love sourdough, I love the homesteading and just what I'm learning. And so, being able to teach people not only just how to make money from home, which is something that I find I have a lot of passion for because it's like if moms knew that this was possible, like, and it actually worked, you know, it's not a scam, it's not like, you know, you can actually take this knowledge and you can
Mhm.
do what you want with it and how it aligns to you. Because I think there's also like people think, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have time for this or that, or how these people are building their business. But really, you can take what you learn and you can apply it to your life and you can apply it to what works for you. So, trying to teach people how to simplify, how to create things around their passion. And just like kind of for me, I umbrella all this under homesteading. Like, it's super important to learn how to, you know, make your own food and cook from scratch and all this. And it's also important how to like take your passions and be able to create like for those that have to work or need the income, you can create something that works for you that you're passionate about, that you love waking up to every day, and also is able to sustain your family so that you can be home doing the things you love.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? Is doing the things you love and doing it with the people that you love. I mean, isn't that what we are supposed to be doing with our life, versus just going to work and clocking in for somebody else's purpose?
Yeah.
Um,
And I
I
think as a nurse, I loved that. Like, I loved being a nurse when I was a nurse and I liked helping people in that capacity. But when you have kids, and you probably know this, when you have kids, it just changes. Like, your heart changes. You want to be home, you want to be with them, and whatever that means for you, whether that's being home full time with them, or even, you know, being home and taking care of your home and your business while your kids are at school, that kind of thing. It changes immensely, that you want to be here with your family first and not a work schedule first. And
Yeah,
so,
100%. And that resonates completely. As you said, I can relate to that. I don't have four, I have one child. I'm not quite sure how people have multiple children. I barely can keep up with one. But that being said, you do want to just create a life that allows you to be more present for them in whatever way that means to you, right? You didn't have children for you to just send them away and have somebody else enjoy watching them grow up.
yeah.
Um, and it really resonates what you're doing in regards to my own knowing of things, and that what you said earlier, and waking up and looking forward to what you're going to be doing every day, right? Um, it's easy to incorporate the things that you love into a business. Um, if you are trying to force the issue with just selling somebody else's stuff or being part of, what you would refer to as like a scam type of business, um, that's never going to work out. But if you're waking up every day and sharing with people the things that you're already doing that they would find value in as well,
Mhm.
that's amazing. And for
Yeah.
sure, I imagine you were of great service to the patients that you served in the hospital, and no doubt that that was very purposeful as well. But to be able to teach your children that they can create a life really and truly aligned with what they love and desire and the way that they want to be of service. I mean, that is a whole nother level of awesome of what you're doing, and that you're showing your children how to then do that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, it's a really I'm really excited. My kids are pretty young now. Even then I have my 7-year-old baked his first sourdough loaf and he was like, "Okay, can I go sell it?" Like, where do I sell it? So I was like, "Oh, that's cool." He's learning to like, create things and sell them and hopefully he'll be able to create a business someday, but also just being able to show them, like be actual proof to them that you can think outside the box and that there's like so many ways to like create a life or create income. And I really hope that like with my kids that they whatever they're passionate about and whatever way they want to like share that with the world, that will totally support them in that. But for us growing up, it was there's like the typical, you go to college, you go get a career, and that works. It was a huge blessing for those 5 years that I worked as a nurse. But I think just being able to branch off into something else that's aligned, like fully aligned for something that I love and look forward to, and just fits this season of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And really doing something from a state of love, I feel like too, because I'm sure that you can think about people you know that go to work every day and hate what they do.
Yeah.
And then what's it all for? Like, why do you even do that? Just for what? Like a benefits package? I mean, what is that really worth to you?
Create a
When,
secure life, which was
yeah,
something that I thought I had, was a secure life. And then it was, I mean, it was really eye opening for me to be able, like, to be fired from my job that I thought was a secure job, and it kind of put a whole new perspective on security and what we think is secure. Because it wasn't just me. There were tons of nurses that lost their jobs and went to other routes. And so, yeah, it's,
yeah.
it's,
The analogy that comes up with that in mind is, a bird is perfectly safe within a cage, but it's never been meant to live in that cage.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So now that you have been establishing your own new type of normal, your own new type of security, you're teaching other people to do the same thing. I'd love to hear you talk more about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I learned how to do what I do from primarily from a course that came with the master resale rights, came with the rights to resell it to help other people learn as well. Knew right away, like as I was going through it, like there's no way I can't share this with other people. Like I had created a sewing course, like the videos and the content previously. And I've taken other courses in the past that weren't as helpful with actually having success. And so I was stuck for a long time with my sewing course, like trying to figure out how to get it to the right people, how to put it on a platform that worked for me. I didn't want to do these like long funnels and master classes and all this. I wanted something like my motto in life is very like simple. It needs to be simple, it needs to be
Mm.
doable. And as a busy mom, like it can't take a ton of my time. And so when I purchased this course, Simply Passive, it really taught me how to like set up everything in a store that was just manageable, easy, how to market, how to get in front of new people. I was stuck with an Instagram account under 1,000 followers, like 900 followers for 2 years, through a previous business I had done sewing baby clothes. And through what I've learned through this digital marketing course, I've grown my account to almost 80,000 followers now in just a few months, which is still insane to me to think about. But it's really like when you get the right tools to take your knowledge and learn how to put that into something that somebody can benefit from, a course, a guide, an ebook, a membership, like there's much you can do in the digital space, and then learning how to market effectively and how to speak to your people and how to like get to the right people, then you have a successful functioning business, because it's kind of like all these pieces. And so going through that, I was just like, this is gold. Like, this is what I've been looking for. It was a lot cheaper than a lot of other things I had purchased, trying to figure out how to do this. And the method, like I guess you call it a method, just worked for me. I didn't have to do long funnels. I have my store, I've got my Instagram, I've got my email list, and I can just like do whatever I want with that now. So I've started with the sourdough. I'm super excited to like, I'm really branching off into enjoying helping other people do this. So I will always want to teach the homestead skills kind of as I learn things and feel confident in teaching them. I think I will help people learn homesteading in a simplified way. But I really find a lot of joy and passion in helping other people kind of connect dots and have these aha moments. Um, I think my favorite thing is when people come to me and they're like, I have nothing to teach and I don't know, or I have all these I'm multi-passionate, I have all these things, but I don't know how to like narrow it down. And I really love trying to like help people figure out like what's their passion, how they could turn this into a business, and how they could help other people, how they could find fulfillment in that. I recently had someone who purchased that course for me and was like, not really into like the branding, like the niche. They were like, I've kind of done this reminds me of high school, like I don't know, it all overwhelms me. And I was like, okay, what do you love? And she named the two things that she really loves, and I was like, okay, here's how we can incorporate this into one successful business and be able to hit on these things you love, because the goal is for you to enjoy what you're doing. Don't do this just to make money and just to like, if you hate it, like there's a way that we can pull your passions and what you love and then utilize this space to make that into a business. And for me, that was just like, I love that. Like, I really love that. So I'm kind of trying to bring a lot more of that in and helping other people to get their business started with their passion, not just to, resell the course or like you said, do sell other people's content, but really to take what you're passionate about and give you the belief that you can turn that into a successful business and you can help so many people with your knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all that so much. And sometimes that's really just what people need, is to feel empowered with what they already know, what they already have inside of them. Because it's just been so long that they've been told that they need to go to work, that they need to go do something else and to set aside that hobby that they wish they could spend more time on, or the passion that they daydream about, but those are the things that light you up and are the things that are what you're supposed to be giving forth and putting forth. So when you can find a way to um, share that with other people, and if you can take it a step further and actually create an income with that and give your gifts and your talents to the world in a way that also allows you to create a living on that. I mean, I think that most of us underestimate how possible that actually is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's not you don't learn about it in school, and people don't talk about it all the time. And I think actually people are shocked when you tell them that this is possible and it's something that you do. I went in to get a new phone the other day and the guy there was like, oh, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have this business. Like, I teach people how to make sourdough and how to make income. And he was like, what? Like, he was very intrigued. Like, what are you talking about? And so I think it's cool that there's just people that have no idea. But it is very attainable. It's attainable for the regular mom, for the regular person. You don't need to have degrees. You don't need to have any special skills to, take your passions and your knowledge and be able to create a life that you really love.
Yeah. And you know what? The special skills that you have are your life skills, your own lived experience. And that I feel like in a lot of ways, in most ways actually, is far more valuable than what anybody else could teach you about the thing that you already love.
Yeah.
So being able to just share that in a way that helps somebody else, I mean, it's just incredible. And um, I don't want to completely sugarcoat it, because just like anything, there are going to be challenges or, things that are hard or feel limiting. There's a lot of fear associated with really working for yourself. And I'd love to hear you talk about some of that a little bit in terms of just the real things behind the scene in terms of all of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think before you start a business, I think overall mindset is like the biggest challenge. I think the mindset of a business and kind of that grit that you need to like get through and have success, I think you have to work on your mindset a ton. Before starting, I think there's a big fear of failure, a big fear of it not working out, a big fear of maybe investing money in the resources to start, which is fairly minimal compared to other businesses that I've done before or seen, you know. So there's this fear of like making that decision and then having it not work out. I personally have worked on that a lot because I've done previous network marketing businesses that didn't get anywhere. I created my own business sewing and selling baby clothes, which was growing, but I didn't have the capacity to keep up with that. But there's when you get over that fear, or when you can kind of train your brain to be like, I'm going to try this because if I don't try it, I know exactly where I'll be in a year from now. If I don't start anything, I'm going to be in the same spot. So at that point in my brain, you've already failed if you want something and you're not willing to even start. But if you try, there's going to be two outcomes. You can hit the goal and get where you want to go, or you could fail or have to pivot into something else. And I think there's this idea that if you start one thing, that's the thing that you have to stick to. And in business, you can pivot. Like, so there's a way to not fail and get, but you can just pivot. And I've pivoted a ton in my business, or in my business adventures, I guess you'd say, over the last few years, to find the thing that really works for me. And then once you start and you're going, I think the mindset of comparing yourself to other people is huge. And I have hit goals that I had a few months ago, and then I still have in my head like, oh, this isn't enough. There's people doing more. There's people doing better. Should I do what they're doing? And really, like, I listen to podcasts, I listen to, or read books. I do things that are getting my mindset back in, like, okay, focus, stay in my lane, focus on my goals, focus on what is working for me, and then celebrating like every single small win. I think that really helps your mindset. Like, celebrate every follower that you have. Don't get caught up in this person has 100 followers, I only have 50. Like, you show up for those 50 people like you have 100,000 followers, and people will see that, they will feel that. And then celebrate every dollar you make. Like, if you're already making money, like, celebrate every dollar. Never underestimate an only $10 sale or only making $5. Like, you can celebrate every success that you've had, no matter how small it is. And that really builds your mindset and gives you the capacity for more. So I think it's working a lot on the mindset. And there's some days that you're like, I'm crushing it. This is like going so well. And you can wake up the next morning and be like, is this really even working for me? Like, what am I doing here? And so I have a couple of friends that are also in business that we, voice memo text every day. And it's like, I'm having a hard day. And like, we can speak to each other, speak truth into each other again and kind of motivate each other to like, nope, like, don't think that way. Remember yesterday that things were really seeming great in your mind. But a lot of times it's like the business might not even change, it may change, but your mindset is like, can really play a lot of tricks on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so important, the company that you keep in terms of who is around you, supporting you, and speaking affirming energy into your ear every day. I mean, it really does matter, especially in the space of the digital world where there's so many other people visible and seemingly successful and seemingly perfect, right? It's so easy to get caught up in that comparison game, and then that imposter syndrome creeps in. It's like, what am I even doing here? And is this even worth it? I'm just going to go back to the hospital, or in my case, like, back to dentistry, which is my clock in profession. But it's just so easy to get stuck in our own heads. So it's so important. I'm so glad that you have that little tribe of other entrepreneurs who you can lean on and they can lean on you, because it really does matter, the energy that you surround yourself with.
Yeah, for sure. I have a mentor actually that I've been with for a while through different business ventures, and she was sharing the other day that she makes like $50,000 a month, which is insane, right? That's like insane income to the normal person. And she was saying how she even had comparison of like, do I share this with people because there's people making way more than that? And she, like, and that really clicked with her, like, it doesn't matter how much you're making or how many followers you have or how many people are opting into your freebie, like you're always going to have that comparison game. And so putting that into perspective, I think can help kind of remind you that like you're doing good. And even if you aren't, having crazy fast success or whatever, you're impacting people. You're impacting the people that are supposed to hear it. I know the last month Instagram had a lot of glitches. I don't know if you noticed that, but there was like the reach and like who we are getting in front of was way down for like weeks. And it was almost like I'm putting this out and it used to reach so many people and now it's barely reaching anyone. And it was really like kind of, it was hard on the, in the mindset to like have that change, but then realizing, okay, not going to stress about it. The people that are meant to see my content will see my content. And even if it's a smaller amount of people, I just got to show up and do well for those people. Um, so reminding yourself every day the impact you're making on one person, 5 people, 10 people, and just knowing that will snowball. It'll affect or have the snowball effect for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just remembering your why, I think, is so important too, why you started showing up in that space to begin with. And if what you're doing every day is still serving that why
Mm-hmm.
for yourself, being able to be home with your children, homesteading, homeschooling, if that's
Yeah.
still happening, then you're still on track,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I actually have a mug that says someone got it me for a gift. I think it says like world's best nurse or the best nurse. And I keep that mug and I use it every few days because I remind myself this is where I came from and this is where I'm at now. And just remembering that, the nurse that I was and how as much as I love that, and my heart is home with my family. So being able to just remind myself every day of that, like that why and that goal that I had.
For sure. And again, I can so just it so resonates what you're saying too, because like you just said, it's not, you didn't hate nursing, right? And just like I don't hate dentistry, but wanting to be more present in your own life with your own kids or family, it just outweighs a little bit those priorities. And you know what, that's okay. I think a lot of people too get stuck in the mindset of, I went to school for this and I shouldn't derail the course of that. I spent all this time and effort and money into this degree or this certification, and they don't give themselves permission to pivot
Yeah.
should something change in their circumstances, or somebody requests something of them that is not in alignment with their beliefs, such as a vaccine, like yourself. It's okay to make a different decision.
Yeah, for sure. And since then, like they've changed all their policy as I've been offered my job back. But like knowing where I am now, where I can say, nope, I'm cool. Like, I mean, we moved also, so we're a little too far, but just knowing that like I'm building something here that I don't know, maybe I would never have had this success that I'm having or had this motivation to do what I'm doing now if I would have stuck with that job. Like I probably, if we wanted to purchase a home there, we probably would have been like, okay, if we want to get out of the city and onto property, we'll just have to work more shifts to get there. And I feel like I was just telling my mom this the other day that like if I would have stayed nursing and not got fired for that, we probably would have just been working more to create the life I had away from home and just had more childcare and everything, which I don't know, it's just like it's such a blessing to know that like this is where that led and here we are like living really the life that we dreamed of, and being able to just pursue new opportunities because of that. And I agree with you that people they start one thing, and I've been told many times, like, well, don't you think you're wasting your degree that you spent all this time going to school for? And I actually had another friend who got fired as well with me, and she since has gone back to work, and she was like, well, if you're going to do your own thing, like, don't you think that you just wasted all these years? Like, I spent all this time in school, I need to go work for however many years to like make it worth it. And I was like, no, like I don't. I feel like it served me well for those 5 years. And I'm not afraid to pivot and to try something new because, like you said, like one, you might start something and that's worked well, but it's seasons change and life changes. And if you're willing to change with that, then I feel like we can find so many more beautiful experiences than just sticking to that one thing because that's what we started with.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's easy to get stuck in the resistance, and tell ourselves that we should just stay the course, not realizing that the experience that maybe is coming to an end is part of the course. It's never meant to be the final destination. It's always meant to be part of the stepping stone onto something else. So I think that everything in its own time has the purpose that it's meant to, and every situation just isn't meant to stay indefinitely. You just learn from it, take from it what you need to, and leave what you don't. um I think life is meant to be lived in forward motion.
For sure. And as we grow and as we change and adapt to our different seasons of life, I think it's cool to like see that growth in ourselves too of, what we're learning in life and how we're taking advantage of these new opportunities and things that come to us.
Yeah, and every time you allow that change, it gets easier. I mean, the first time you do something that feels really against the grain, you're worried about the pushback and the judgments and just the criticisms that inevitably come with any type of significant change you make in your life, right? Um, but every time you do it thereafter, it just becomes easier because you learn to trust yourself more and not worry about the questions from outside of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that.
So, Emily, what you're doing in terms of the pursuit of a digital marketing business, essentially, is that something that you feel like is achievable for most anybody? What would be some of the reasons that that wouldn't work for somebody?
Yeah, I really think that anyone who wants it is capable of doing it and figuring it out. I think I was told by my mentor one time the only the only way to fail is to not start or to give up too soon. And so I think if you're willing to try something new, to learn something new, to learn some new skills, and be willing to show up and not give up too soon and just like work on your mindset and work on learning new things, I think that anyone is capable of it. I think everyone has something to teach. I don't believe that anyone is incapable of not finding something that they could teach or share with the world or put out there that's going to help someone else's life be easier. Because I also think in digital marketing, it's not all about teaching people. I think that's the route I've taken and a lot of people do, but it's also, putting out things that can make people's lives easier, whether that be templates for something or ways to organize. And I think that there's just so much in this space that anyone's capable of it. I think it's just that fear that would hold people back, or make people to quit too soon. So I
Mhm.
definitely think like you don't need a degree. I mean, anyone can learn it. It's really simplified. It's simplified in ways that are learnable for anyone. I have students that are with me that are retired and are like, I'm terrible at electronics. And they're like, she's jumped in and she is taking the reins and learning new things. And it might take her a little longer than, the younger people that are familiar with like electronics. But I think it's possible for anyone, no matter what your age is.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially the particular course that you and I are both selling at this point now, Simply Passive, right? I mean, I think I've mentioned before, it is one of the most approachable, user-friendly ways of gaining knowledge for this type of space that I've ever come across. And I've spent a lot of time, money, and effort over the years on this type of work. So I have no doubt that it is something that pretty much anybody that wants to could figure out,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, it definitely walks you through at a very beginner level. I feel like it's very user friendly. And then even down to the platform, it teaches you to put it on, how to create your products and everything. It's just very, yeah, very doable for anyone who wants to.
Backing up for a second, and taking a step away from like the logistic part of it, you had talked before about really needing a positive mindset about pretty much anything, right? But for sure, in terms of pursuit of something like a at-home digital marketing business. Where do you gain that from? Aside from your tribe of other entrepreneurs, like how did you find yourself in the headspace of knowing that you could absolutely do this and feeling empowered to just pursue it?
Well, I think I saw other people showing up and making it happen. I know, like, I listened to a podcast called Empower Her Podcast. And I feel like I've learned a lot from there. Like, I listen to it twice a week. It's a very empowering podcast. And I think, I don't know if it's just my personality that I'm like, I don't like to give up on things. But I know that, I guess, the logic of like, if I can create something and I can learn how to market it, then like like keep me from having success. And so I think just being able to show up and be like, I'm not going to give up. This is like, this will work no matter how many times I have to pivot to make it work. Like, I don't know, just that, having that, like, I think also I don't want to go back to nursing. Like, I looked at jobs that were behind, we have a hospital behind our new house. And, with COVID, things changed. I was like, okay, if we're going to like have these financial goals to like get out of debt and all this, like, I could go work for like a year. And I looked that up. And then I was like, no, like, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back to that space working weekends, holidays, and just like, I think that, I mean, there's very specific things that I remember working, like leaving. I had a baby that didn't ever take a bottle, and I worked 12-hour night shift. And I remember leaving her like one night being like, okay, like my husband would bring her to me at 10 p.m. to nurse in front of a psych hospital. And I remember like leaving her being like, I will figure out one day so I never have to leave another baby behind.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it was just like when you have a baby that like is so dependent on you for their nutrition, like she was my petite girl, like she needed to nurse, she nursed way beyond a year. And she just like, I feel like she needed that nutrition, but she absolutely refused a bottle of any sort. And so it was like, I knew that like between that 10 p.m. feed and the 8 a.m. that I would get home, like she wasn't having any milk. She was going to sleep and she was going to cry when she woke up until, I got home or whatever. And I think those moments and those like memories that you have in your mind keep you like, okay, no, I'm going to do this because I don't want to have to go back to that place. And then as my kids get older, none of them need my milk now, but it's like, I don't want them to have to go to school. I don't want them to have to like know that mom has to work all night tonight and isn't here. Like, I want to tuck my kids in every single night. And I think just like living that for like through 3 kids and remembering those like very vivid moments. I have many of them of being like my goodbyes to them and I'll see you in the morning. And I think just living those and having those memories and then being at a place where I'd be able to be home now, but then also like, well, at some point I'm going to need to bring in some income. Then it's like, okay, I will figure this out and I have the tools. Like, if I have the tools, like nothing can stop me. Like, I will figure out how to do this. And I think just that mindset, knowing that it's possible, it's all about me and how I'm going to show up. And if I'm going to show up and be consistent, a lot of it's just consistency too, which is hard. I think that's one of the hardest things besides mindset is like being consistent with what you're doing,
Mhm.
even if you're not seeing results right away, or even if you are doubting yourself, like keep showing up because that consistency will pay off. And then just knowing like keeping in mind of like, okay, the day that I can tell my kids mom's never going back to work, that moment is going to be like another moment in my mind, a positive moment that I will remember forever. And so I think like I hit that, and my kids know like I'm not going to go back to work. My nursing license will, I think I have a few more months or a year before it will lapse enough that I'd have to actually go back and take a refresher course, which is my mom did that and I don't want to do that. So making that decision that like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this well, and it's gonna work, or I'm gonna have to go back to, this at some point. So
That is a really, really strong why that you just described. And it's powerful and it's beautiful. And putting all of your faith in yourself and in your own knowing of what you need to do for you and your family is just incredibly inspiring. And I applaud you for it for sure. And even just letting that license lapse, the nursing license, like that is absolutely your reassurance that you will just stay the course and keep on being consistent like you are, because this is the way, and it's such a perfectly beautiful way that you've created. It really is like the dream.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've created something that most people only dream about, literally, and wish for, and make excuses why they can't achieve it, or, have every limitation or every reason why it's maybe for other people, but not for them. Um, and it's just not true. Like you said, if you want to create something that is more in line with what you want in your life, you just have to make the decisions to do so. And, everything is a decision, right? We all have choices. We just might not like the choices that we have, but everybody has choices.
If we know that we are capable of something, then we just have to know that like, we can show up, and it's just making that decision that this is what you're doing, and this is what you're going to see through, like you're going to stick to it. And I think finding that thing for you that you're so passionate about, that that this is something you could do the rest of your life, and I've had people even in my inbox that are they've been stay-at-home moms for all these years, and now their kids are growing up and they're like, I guess I have to go back to work now, or like what am I going to do? And so they're kind of like feeling out like what else could I do? And I think for, younger moms like us, knowing that this is something you create not only for now, but for that future you, that when your kids aren't here, you maybe don't feel as needed at home. I mean, you could be needed at your home forever, but we know it's typical to be like, well, my kids are growing up now, what am I going to do? And I feel like it creates um, that thing that you can do without having to go back to a job. And so you can still create income later, but also just be able to not feel like you have nothing to do now that you've been busy with your kids all these years. And now it's like, oh, I don't have any hobbies, I don't have anything. And I feel like this just creates that, like, you can just pivot at that point what fits your life. So kind of forward thinking too, that this is like a long-term thing. This isn't just for now, this is for the future you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that you touched on there a little bit, it's probably best in an entirely different conversation because it could be so multi-layered, but just the idea that people stop doing what they love or give up what they're passionate about because they have a family at home. And I have always worked really hard to like go against that. I really feel like it's important for moms, especially, to hang on to who they are and what they love. And, doing it in a way that obviously is benefiting everybody else by way of a business pursuit is ideal. But I really do feel like if you don't allow yourself to still maintain who you are and even put yourself first to a certain degree, um, that's not serving anybody at all in a positive way.
Yeah, for sure. And I always say too, because I know there are some people that struggle with like, well, I want to go to work because I get like bored at home, or like I feel like I need something else. They don't want to just be stay-at-home moms. And there's a lot of guilt around that for moms being like, well, I should be enough just to be a mom. And I mean, yes, it's enough to be a mom. Like if that is if that's aligned for you to do nothing else and just be a mom, like that is enough. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's also okay to like have something else. I like to see it as it works a different side of your brain. Like you've got your mom brain where you're like needed all the time in that way. But sometimes it's like, I like to use the other side of my brain. I like the challenge of a business. I like the creativity. I like being able to connect with other people on other things besides just my kids. And so I think for me, it's like using that different part of my brain that is able to give me fulfillment in something else besides just motherhood, and like not feeling guilty for that. So even if it's not like if I didn't need the income, I would still love doing this because I love doing it. And it's like a hobby for me too. I love it. I enjoy it. And I like to impact other people in the world too, as well as my family. So whether it's just a hobby for you or a whole business, like I enjoy this side of my life as well.
Absolutely, as you should. That's all just so beautiful. Emily, tell me what it is that you would like to leave our listeners thinking about today as we kind of come to a close to our conversation for now. Although this has been such an easy conversation, it's been so great to talk to you. I feel like I could go on for much longer, but in the interest of your time and our listeners, what would you like them to go away thinking about today?
Yeah, I would say biggest takeaway or what I would like to leave you with is if you are wanting, if your gut is telling you that you want to try something or do something or create a different life than you have now, then go for it. Like the best thing you can do is just go for it, try, learn, and then learn as you go. Like learn as you go. Don't be afraid to have all the ducks lined up in a row before you jump into something. Like it's okay to just like go. You don't owe anyone success or anything. Like you can just learn from that. You can learn as you go. You can pivot as you go, but making that initial decision to just start or jump out and try something new, like you're never going to regret that. I think that you're capable of way more than you probably think you are or that you give yourself credit for. And the only way to know what you're capable of is starting, trying, and then not giving up.
That is just phenomenal advice to give. And I am just so excited to have so many people listening to it. And I loved what you said about you don't owe anyone success. Just start, just go, and just see where it takes you.
Yeah, for sure.
For our listeners, always to stay connected with Emily will be in the show notes. So please definitely take a look there and stay connected. And I am just so looking forward to sharing this conversation. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been so awesome.
What we do with our time, who we choose to spend it with, and how we give of our precious energy. I think we all need to take a closer look at that. We are not just here for this human experience to pursue someone else's purpose and in turn be too consumed with theirs to live our own. There is a better way. It's been my honor and pleasure to have this conversation with Emily and to get to share it with you. Stay connected with us, whether it's learning sourdough, how to put more plants on your plate, or how to put your own passions into passive purpose. We're here for you. All ways to stay connected to us are in the show notes. Follow us on socials. Follow our podcasts. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Help us stay sustainable. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to keep showing up for you. Until next time.